Hey, it's Dan's Models. This is John sitting here with,
Dan.
and looks like we're not looking at a locomotive this time.
No.
This is an HO scale boxcar of some sort. What's the story on this one?
Yeah, this is an Atlas HO scale Evans boxcar that I custom painted as a Purina car. And I'm sure somebody out there is probably thinking Atlas offers this in the Purina scheme. Why did he do that?
I might actually be one of those people wondering.
The answer is that I had a micro scale decal sheet with these decals on it. And actually the scheme that's offered by Atlas is slightly different than this.
Oh.
So it's actually a different car. So this particular car that I modeled, I haven't seen anyone else produce.
Oh, so this is a truly unique piece here.
It's very subtle, the difference between this and the car that they offer. But, I had the decals and I was like, well, okay. So I did do a few things to this one. I changed the couplers to Katie scale couplers. I added the uncoupling lever, and I changed the crossover platform to a photo etched part, and I also added the train line air hose. So Atlas has released this car and retooled it at least once, and the difference is that the original one, which is one of what this is, had a slightly different underbody and also has molded on side ladders instead of separately applied side ladders. So, and the underbody on these older ones doesn't have a lot of detail. The newer ones, it has some of the stuff already done for you. But so I added some of this brake detail, and it's probably not 100% right, and probably wouldn't win any contests, but it looks good from the side.
Yeah.
And so, and it's close enough that it looks right when you're looking at the car rolling down the track. I left the stock wheels on this car. Sometimes I change them. I have a bunch of these Atlas Evans cars, and sometimes I change them. But this still has the stock wheels in trucks. And I also added one of the things I do to all of them is to replace the stirrup steps with aftermarket ones because they look a lot nicer. The most difficult thing about doing this model was the doors. And that's because of all the markings on these Evans cars. Unfortunately, even though Microscale had the sheet for the main decals that say, the Purina and the little checkerboard thing, they didn't have all of the detail on the door decals. And these Evans cars have all kinds of little markings and arrows and all kinds of stuff. So I basically had to piece all that together from...
Oh, you're kidding.
No, from various sources to try to match... what I saw in the photos, and I also had some of the other Atlas cars that are factory painted out to try to reproduce what was there. So yeah. I think what's here is close to what's real on the real car. May not be 100% right, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's something I would expect to see, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but it was a real pain to do it because of all those little arrows, and I really had to cut and paste little pieces of this and that together to make it work.
I want to say something real quick that is, when we first started, we're like, oh, a boxcar, okay, well, what could this possibly have on it that's worth showing? Now, this is it, isn't it? This is it. I mean, what can I say? This is the kind of stuff that the attention to detail is just it never stops amazing me what you do with these things, Dan. I'm serious.
I just want them to look right. That's all.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Well, thanks. I also did other little things like adding the reweigh date, which is the little black square with the date in it. That was something I saw in the photograph and
down toward the bottom there?
Yeah, where all the capacity
November,
and weight data.
November 75 or something? I can't see it.
Yeah, so that's that was a little subtle thing, but it adds a little bit of realism to the car.
Yeah, I noticed on the other end there's one of those ACI labels too.
Yeah, so I added that as well. So I kept the weathering fairly subtle on this car because that was the way it looked in the photo. But it is weathered. I used some black powder to highlight the vertical seams, and I also used an airbrush to put some road dust on the bottom surfaces and a little bit of weathering on the roof, not too much.
Yeah, it looks a little bit rusty.
Yeah, it's, looks like an in-service car.
Yeah, it looks really good. And, I learned something today. next time you pull out a boxcar, I'm not going to say, "Well, why are we looking at a boxcar?" You know, it's not boring.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess, it depends on your point of view. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have any lights on it or noise or anything,
no.
but it looks awesome. So anyway, all right, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.